The challenge with this match review is not allowing the second half to influence the way I look back at the match. A match in which Barcelona were dominant for 43 minutes and took care of business, winning a spot in the Champions League quarterfinals. It's a challenge not to look ahead to Bayern Munich either, and pretend that the team we saw in the second half is the one that will play against the Germans. But again, this match today was the one against Napoli, and the team played the game only as if they were trying to take care of business against Gattuso's side at the Camp Nou. So with that out of the way, I think a good place to start with this match review as well, the start of the match, when things were still very much up in the air. Barcelona's lineup wasn't that surprising. As I said in the preview and on the podcast, with Busquets and Vidal out, I expected to see Rakitic as a holding midfielder behind Roberto and De Jong. I also expected Suarez to start alongside Messi, and there was a good chance it would be Griezmann as well, the experienced heads, and that's what Setién gave us. He lined Barca up in that 4-3-1-2, the formation that has proven to be the best to get the most out of that front trio together. We've talked at length before how that works offensively, especially against low blocks. But Barca were also defending in that 4-3-1-2 with some pressing mixed in. Unlike many of Barca's recent games which saw the opposition sit back with 5 or go with a low block in a 4-5-1, Napoli started the match defending in a 4-4-2 and looking to get out and attack in a 4-3-3. As predicted, Insigne was healthy enough to go, and Gattuso went with his first choices at the toss-up positions. Demey, the defensive midfielder, instead of Lobotka, Di Lorenzo at right back instead of Husai, and Manolas serving as Koulibaly's partner instead of Maksimovic. The biggest question coming in tactics-wise for me was how Napoli was going to press, and I think due to that 10th minute goal, Gattuso's tactics didn't work. I mean, they did work out of the gate, but just not over the course of the first half. Within the first 2 minutes, Napoli switched play at the back, and Insigne was shot out of a cannon up the left side, creating a chance that Mertens hit the post with. The match started at a pace that was terrifying for anyone that has watched Barca this year, and neither team had any prolonged control of the ball. Napoli were actually the first team to string together 10 passes, 6 minutes and 54 seconds into the match. Luckily for Barca, they took control of the match after the first goal. Rakitic took the in-swinging corner kick that Lenglet powered home. Did he push Demey into Koulibaly to get himself the open header? Yes. Was it smart of Rakitic/Barca to put Piqué, Lenglet, and Suarez within 3 yards of each other and hope that Rakitic had a good delivery? Again, yes. And would I have to accept if VAR had overturned that goal? A resounding yes. But the goal stood, and Barca were on the front foot. Maybe galvanized a bit by the goal, Barca's first bit of pressure came around the 14th minute or so. Napoli were sitting in compact, waiting for the ball to go into Barca's half on passes back to the center backs to bring the pressure. That seemed to be the activation, hoping to win the ball back and get a quick counter. But as was the theme all night, Semedo, Piqué, Ter Stegen, Lenglet, and Alba were crisp on the ball and very rarely gave away opportunities. Semedo in particular was good on the ball today. He isn't always, but in the 17th minute he had a sparkling run that unfortunately led to nothing, and 2 minutes later he had another nice run into the center and delivered a through ball that once again led to nothing, but not Semedo's fault. It's not rocket science, but I think having Roberto as the right interior is helpful for getting the best out of Semedo. Roberto can cover the ground to shield for Messi when Griezmann at the top of that defensive diamond hasn't covered for him. And Roberto can support Semedo when he runs forward in ways that Vidal, De Jong, and Rakitic aren't as natural at. Obviously, he has become much more comfortable near the touchline than the others, position-wise. Barca was playing well, but Barca's best player was playing really well. In the 23rd minute, Suarez switched the field to Messi, and we retreated with that Argentine magic. Messi dribbled through 3, got fouled by Rui, got back up in a split second, and slotted home across Ospina's goal with a shot through 2 more Napoli defenders. No words, just Messi. We wanted a captain, and there has been proper criticism on Messi as a captain this year, but this goal, and I think this entire performance from him, he has promised energy and desire in the Champions League. And even if the rest of the team felt shaky throughout this match, and there were moments when you believed that it was all going to happen again, Messi showed you in this match that if he's going to push and will his team over the line, then Barca can be the better team. This mentality came through because I think what was also encouraging in that first half was the way that Barcelona responded to scoring. After each goal, they kept their focus and energy up and didn't allow Napoli back in the match. They were able to stabilize the match and easily were the better side in the first half. The tie really should have been over with what I think was that wrongly disallowed goal that I want to break down anyway because of the level of difficulty. It came after a miscommunication with Alba and Ter Stegen at one end, and it felt like Napoli didn't press because they were too busy watching the Barca backline bicker. Whatever the reason, it was too easy for Barca to take space, and De Jong dribbled half the field. Alba makes the run, and Suarez's shot unbalances the back line. The ball ricochets to De Jong, who immediately delivers the looping ball to Messi, who controls it with his chest, and as Ospina attempts to shield the rest of his goal, Messi uses his left foot to plant it in the near post. Somehow this gets called back for a handball on Messi on his left arm. And unless there's an angle that we aren't seeing, where you can see the dirt from the ball transfer to Messi's arm as proof, that was the wrong call. But you know what? The Lenglet goal was wrong too, so I guess it's even now. VAR still had a job to do, and I guess anyone tuning in for VAR got their money's worth, with what started in the 40th minute and took almost 5 minutes to figure out. Messi, the best player for either team on the night, put himself in danger by lunging in front of Koulibaly as he was about to strike the ball. Putting himself in harm's way earned the penalty, an easy call that took a long time to figure out. Messi was shaken up too, so he let Suarez take the penalty, who converted easily. At this point, I do want to mention that people may have been nervous of Messi missing a penalty. Somehow, there was that notion a few years ago that Messi misses penalties. Actually, Messi has made 84% of his penalties, with the average being 75%. Fortunately, Suarez is also above that average in that category, and Barca took a comfortable 3-0 lead. But then 4 minutes later, right before the first half ended, Rakitic fouls Mertens in the box, an easy call, albeit a soft challenge, but still a penalty. It took a fifth of the time to figure out that was a penalty. Insigne passed Ter Stegen, and it's 3-1 to head into halftime. As much as Barca controlled the scoreline after that first half, possession was still 50-50, but Barca were tidy with their passing, 94% completions, getting shots on target, 4, some of them resulting in goals, and they won 20 duels, showing the fight and desire necessary for the Champions League. When the score was 3-0, there was even talk of taking Messi off because of injury risk. Oh, how naive we were. Not only did Napoli get that one goal, but Gattuso changed his tactics a bit in the second half, and Barcelona are terrible at defending compactly as a unit. Napoli started the second half pressing higher up, trying to push the line of confrontation up the field. The one change, Demey for Lobotka, was probably because Lobotka is seen as the more mobile option, and I think that paid off in terms of playing style for Napoli. And speaking of midfielders, of all the players for Barca on the night, I think Roberto's performance was the most polarizing. He was fine defensively, as we already discussed, and in the 56th minute he showcased one of his patent marauding midfield runs that ended with an intended pass to Suarez, and Manolas was fortunate to get an interception on it. But that was also right around the time when this game was turning ugly for culés watching. In the 70th minute, Napoli had to start getting desperate, so on came Chucky Lozano and Politano, essentially turning Napoli's attack into a 4-2-4, with Mertens dropping centrally as an attacking midfielder. Yet, the second half was still a slog. Very few chances for either team. Barca shutting things down, but looking physically slower, moving the ball slower, and the match grinding to a halt. In the 81st minute, things looked interesting again, in the bad way, as talk of Barca's recent Champions League collapses were being discussed. Milik, who had just come on as another attacker, was offside on a header goal that could have made things very dicey down the stretch. Fortunately, there was a last-gasp bit of energy and effort from Barca for the last 10 minutes or so, and while we didn't get to see Puig or Fati, puzzling they couldn't help Barca B with qualification. Instead, Manchu, who played every second of Barca B's 3 qualification matches, got his first team debut in the 84th minute. I'm not saying it should have been Manchu or Puig, but Barca were tired, and I don't care about all that psychological mumbo-jumbo. All 3 would have been fresh legs to close out that match. One more goal would have put the match away, much better than just defending for your life for 45 minutes with experienced but tired legs. But anyway, Barca switched to a 4-4-2 with Manchu as a left midfielder, not a position he ever plays, by the way, and he did a fine job closing out the match. So Barca hung on for the win. That's the good news. 13 seasons now making the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Do not take that for granted. It's a wonderful achievement. The bad news, the match that got them through saw Barca have an expected goals of 1.17, and Napoli had an expected goals of 2.38. Not really the dominant performance that instills hope for the next rounds. That said, if Messi, De Jong, Lenglet, and Semedo, these 4 were the standouts for me, play like they did today, Barca has a chance against Bayern, especially if somebody else for Barca can pick it up too. Before we go, I do want to talk about De Jong's performance. A fantastic showing that reminds you that he was out for the Liga action down the stretch. And I think maybe the Liga trophy might have been in different hands if De Jong had been healthy. But he looked refreshed, he looked good, and he looked like Barcelona's best midfielder on the day as well. Roberto was good position-wise, but De Jong was able to range from touchline to touchline. He was good on the ball in close positions, and one of the main reasons that Barcelona were able to hang on was because of De Jong's ball retention. I'm not going to talk about the argument about Sergio Busquets affecting De Jong's play or how those two work together, but De Jong worked really well with Roberto, and Rakitic found his positions and found those important spots getting forward and helping out in the attack. Again, I thought De Jong was fantastic on the day, and it's not just trying to see what De Jong does well and what Rakitic or Roberto does wrong. I don't think it's fair to put players in different camps of good or bad, but De Jong was certainly really good on the day, and if he can perform like that against Bayern Munich, he would be the best midfielder on the pitch. De Jong was the best midfielder on the day for either team. Messi was the best forward on the day for either team, and then Lay was the best defender for either team on the day. And all three of those working together with Ter Stegen behind them in net, a strong spine can get the job done. As for that Bayern preview, Francesca and I will be breaking down this match and previewing Bayern on this week's podcast. So get that wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll also have a preview coming up on this channel as well. So to make sure you don't miss it, give this video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And as always, until next time, Forza Barca.